All right, y'all. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So, for those who this is their first Discover Speaker series, we just wanted to welcome you. We have a super exciting guest speaker today, and we have our guest speaker on for last month, and who is also running current cohort, Spencer Garland of Brenda Arts. Um, but the Discover series and in the innovation program, what we try to do is um, one, introduce young people to cutting edge technology and folks who are doing really um, um, exciting things in the field, and have them experience what the new technology is and what's kind of out there, and not only experience and expose them to it, but have them be the producers of the technology. So that's what the innovation program is doing in general. And the speaker series is folks who are actually in the fields, in their careers, just doing some exciting things, and who have like a journey of just jewels to drop, and creativity and using imagination along the way, so that we can have young people kind of see and bear witness to that. As you see, Mark is he'll get into it, but you see his background tells it without before he even speaks. Um, and the title of this the title of this thing is "Never Work Another Day in Your Life," and I think Mark will explain that. And that's really what the foundation of a lot of this innovation program, and what's the foundation of TCN, doing things that you love. So, without further ado, I will pass it on to Mark Garcia.
All right. Thanks, Jeff and Matt. Pleasure to be here. Actually honored. I'm happy to see all of you. Hopefully we'll get some Q&A later just to answer questions. But I'm going to share some things about myself and to Jeff's point, some nuggets of wisdom, things I'm doing, and hopefully you'll find some inspiration from this. That said, let me share my screen. Oops. Yes. Okay. Hey, can you see my screen okay?
Yep. Yep.
Alrighty. Okay. Nope, that's not it. That's not the where we want to start. That's the end. Okay. All right. So, hello, Clubhouse Network. Mark Garcia from Hasbro, Inventor Relations and External Innovation Manager. Before we get started, we'd just love to get a one-liner from each of you, just your name and what you do with the Clubhouse Network.
Hey y'all, I'm Misha. I'm a geographic liaison with the Clubhouse Network. Used to be a coordinator back in the day, but I'm here with TCN these days.
Nice to meet you, Misha.
You too.
I can jump in. I'm Nicole Rodriguez. I'm Associate Director of People and Culture with the Clubhouse Network. Good to meet you, Mark.
Excellent. Nice to meet you, Nicole.
Hey,
Yeah, I
Mark,
guess
my name's,
Oh,
my bad. Go ahead.
it's all you.
Cool. My name's Rolo. I'm in Fairfax, Virginia. I'm a clubhouse coordinator and I do a lot of 3D printing and 3D modeling. And I love Transformers, so it's really cool to meet you.
Rolo, likewise. And you're doing some cool stuff, man. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Mark, nice to meet you off of LinkedIn. I'm Spencer Garland. I'm a creative youth technologist. I teach uh, the coordinators at TCN and youth in my Black youth in my local area how to make art, and I do VR stuff with my community and co-create with them.
Excellent. Nice to see you in real life, Spencer. Thanks for reaching out on LinkedIn. Hopefully, talk more to it with you after this.
Absolutely, I'll send you an email.
Excellent.
I
Oh,
guess
go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go. You
Everyone, I'm Jeff Arthur, the innovation manager for innovation program and geographic liaison. So at TCN. Welcome.
and I'm Brittany David. I'm the enrichment director and clubhouse coordinator for Gold Crown over in Denver.
Nice to meet you, Brittany.
Nice to meet
Does it? Okay.
Did you want to give an intro? Sorry, Cassandra. I think you're the last one.
Yeah, JK. I couldn't unmute. Hi, my name is Cassandra Castillo Tapia. I'm a coordinator in the Boyle Heights area.
Nice to meet you, Cassandra. I've just made aware that it's not CHN, it's TCN, so please excuse the mistake. So I'm just going to get right off of that slide real
We know
fast.
what you meant.
Again, nice to meet you all. Thank you for taking the time. My name is Mark Garcia. I'm manager inventor relations for Hasbro's action portfolio, which is essentially named because of action figures. So all the brands, boy brands, even though I would say it's not just boys, action brands that have to do with action figures, vehicles, etc. Okay, so let me get this out. Okay, so oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on a second. Okay. Okay. All right. So Mark who? Mark Garcia again, but Mark who? So just as a quick overarching summary of who I am, I'm a former designer at Mattel, which I did Disney Princess, Cars, and Planes. I'm a perpetual inventor because I invent things on my own, but I was a professional inventor with a San Francisco-based toy and game invention agency, where I was senior design director, and then president of my own division at Kid Group in San Francisco. Most importantly, I'm an educator. I teach industrial design, invention, drawing, and prototyping at the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. I've been doing that for 11 years now, and my most challenging role as an educator is I teach 4th and 5th grade industrial design, essentially as a VAPA or visual and performing arts specialist. I teach them how to draw. I teach them how to create and invent, and then I also teach them how to create and build very simple models and prototypes with cardboard, duct tape, and hot glue. And to your right, I was honored by a Disney animator that when I was doing a panel, he drew me while he was sitting in the audience, and that's my picture as your friendly neighborhood inventor, Spider, essentially. Okay, so I can see all of you, well, most of you. Please raise your hand if you like toys. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's most of you. Great. How about making things? Please raise your hand. Excellent. And how about drawing? Are there any drawers in the house, painters, etc.? Wow. Okay, so we got the right crowd here. Excellent. Well, the reason why I ask all of this is because that's what, because that's what I do every day. And as this talk is called Never Work Another Day, because I get to draw, play with toys, and make things, I feel like I have not worked a day in my life, and nor do I day to day. So hence I want to share with you today what it is that I do, and hopefully it helps inspire you and or the kids of the Clubhouse Network going forward. Now, please raise your hand if you know any of these brands, okay? Just for the first, Disney Princess, Cars, Planes. Okay. The reason why I bring those up is because those were the brands I worked at Mattel. A quick story about how I was hired at Mattel. I did industrial design at the Academy of Art. I won one of two very prestigious internships at Mattel, and I was able to work on both girls and boys. But my favorite story is before I got hired to come to Princess, my then director asked, you have a portfolio that's very boy-like. What do you think about working on girl stuff? And I told her that I was very excited because even though I have sisters and I rarely played with their stuff, and yes, my portfolio is very boy, I feel like I can bring the most innovation because I have never played with it, and therefore I can bring some real good benefit to them. And she said, perfect, you're hired, see you in the fall. And so even though I wasn't a girl toy aficionado or someone who played with it, it actually became a benefit to me. And I just wanted to share that for you as well as any future innovators that see this. So as I said, I was a toy designer at Mattel from 2012 to 2014. Had really good experience there. I lived in El Segundo, which is one of the beach cities down in LA. And here's a couple things that I did. On the left there was called Chase and Change Frank, which another one of my favorite stories was where working with Disney, they were very strict about the content and how you adhere to what they needed you to do. This very, very popular character was on the verge of not making it to the line. I was able to draw something to where instead of those rigid combine blades hurting Lightning McQueen, I proposed that they be soft so that it just grabs them in a friendly way, brings them to the back chamber where there's water, allows them to color change and escape without being harmed. To the chagrin of my teammates who were presenting, I knew I had Disney when all of them kept staring at my drawing it to the right side and wouldn't pay attention to the presentation. What's really cool about that is I actually named this on my sketch, and it's almost, I would say 99.98% of the time, a prototype name never makes it to production, but I'm very proud that Chase and Change Frank was the name that I gave it. On the right side, you see Mac Playset. My industrial design experience played really a good part of this, and you'll see a sketch of what I did later. But essentially, I made a very rough prototype that allowed me to sketch this out, create a nice layout of how it transformed open Rolo. I see ya. It transformed into a nice play set, and which turned into something as you see there. I had a couple other products from Cars that made it to the line, but these are the two I wanted to highlight. Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions or thoughts, please let me know, but just know that I will have a Q&A at the end of this. So after Mattel, I became a toy and game inventor. As I said, I worked for Kid Group. I don't know if you guys know of Bop It, but they were the inventors of Bop It. And I got to learn from Dan Klitzner, the creator of that, as well as many other toys and games. And I was able to become the senior designer, manager, and then director. And as I said earlier, ended up becoming a president of my own division under that company. Taught me a lot. It's so different from being a corporate designer to becoming an inventor, where you chase trends, you do what you think would be different from everything else rather than getting a brief and designing for that. Now, here are some of the things that I invented and designed while I was at Kid Group. Simon Optics, which is the first ever wearable game. I turned the traditional Simon, the four-colored call and response game into something you could wear. You can't see it there, but it has sensors that when it shines red, you do red after. Red, green, you do red, green. And if you guys can see this motion, Can you guess what it makes you look like you're doing? Anybody? Anyone?
6,
Okay,
7.
how about I do this? I know everyone on here knows it. Dancing, essentially. And during the time that I invented this, there was a big trend socially called flash mobs. And so when we created this, it wasn't for Simon at first, but when Hasbro saw it, which I work for now, which is a really cool coincidence, they're like, wait a minute, it's like dancing. Let's try it for the brand Simon. And so this became the first wearable Simon game ever. This is another game that I did that was very popular in Europe. Actually, one of the top selling games ever in Europe. And what I wanted to share about this is for you as well as any of the younger creators that see this. This is part of what I call the 5-second meeting. I went into a meeting with the clients, which is called Blue Orange, and then my CEO, and then myself, because they needed help designing the form for this new gameplay that they came up with. They described that they wanted a science theme to it because all you have to do is mix these things as a puzzle. And I literally drew and I'll show it to you now because it's so quick. I drew this in essentially 5 seconds. A beaker. And they looked at it, they looked at my CEO looked at me, and they said, that was a great meeting. You guys are hired. And it turned out to become this. And so I guess the point I wanted to bring up with this one is that an idea, you have to express it. Doesn't have to be beautiful or fully rendered, but as long as it communicates, that is your job as a designer and creative, to communicate so others can get on with you. Demo Duke, a truck that when it crashed, it started to crumble, and then by a press of a button, it rebuilds itself. Don't Be a Scaredy Bear. Quick show of hands, how many have seen the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin? Yeah. Do you guys remember the scene where he says, he says, Kelly Clarkson, because he's getting wax and getting the hair pulled off his chest. You guys remember that? Well, I thought it was so funny, and it was inspiration to a game that I proposed, but it was going to be a Sasquatch getting waxed. But as you can see, it didn't turn out that way because the company that licensed it said they wanted to turn it into a family/kids game. So a Sasquatch getting waxed, a little more mature. This turned it into a much more palatable kids version, but where you're pulling off bandages and he, of course, he's saying ouch, but if you do it too hard, he falls out of his chair and then you lose. But so that's the story behind that one. My personal favorite as a dad and just big kid in general is this is the Furpinator. Can anyone guess what the Furpinator does? Well, please shout out. Please, I just need one
Does it
volunteer.
fart?
That's one.
Burp too?
You got it. Rolo, you're the man. It's farting and burping. And what I designed was
Where can I get one?
They're out. You can find them on Walmart or Amazon, whatever. They've been out. Great seller. Essentially, actually, here it is right here. I think my battery ran out, but essentially I designed this so that when you press the trigger, it burped, and it's kind of like a mouth. And then the bottom, when it farted, you pressed it and the fart came out the top. So just like Bop It, it'll go fart, fart, burp. Then you have to go fart, fart, burp, etc., until you just can't do it any longer. So one of my favorites. and then break the board. Who has imagined you being like a karate fighter and like and breaking a board or whatever? I never took karate lessons, but my daughter has, so she knows this a lot. But for those that never do it or haven't got to it, this is the same thing, a call and response, and at the conclusion, you got to break the board as a finale. So just a few of the things that I was able to do as an inventor, and happy and honored to have been able to bring these things to life and joy to kids around the world. That brings us to Hasbro. Everyone has heard of Hasbro, I presume. Hopefully, there are some people that don't, which is interesting. But nonetheless, I'm at Hasbro now. Past 5 years. Please raise your hand if you've seen any of these brands. Yes. One of my things back there was a invention that I got to work on for Peppa Pig that allowed her to sing with a really cool mouth animation. But this was part of the portfolio, which is fashion and preschool. When I first started at Hasbro, this is what I was working on. Now, please raise your hand if you've seen any of these brands.
Mark, also, if I could draw your quick attention to
Yeah.
Brittany's camera over there in a
Oh,
creation that they
excellent.
did.
Wow.
That's life-sized.
Wow. You are a fan.
Well, actually, it's Celine. She's my assistant coordinator. So she like screamed when Furby came up. So she's like,
Yes.
Matt said bring it
Furby.
out, so I had to bring it out.
No, thank you for bringing it to my attention. That's awesome. But again, please raise your hand if you have known of any of these brands. Yes. Excellent. So these are the brands I work on now, plus others like Voltron, Ghostbusters, essentially, like I said, action figure brands. And as a kid that grew up in the 80s, this is why when anyone asks me how I'm doing, I answer I'm living the dream, because I truly am, and I'm not exaggerating at all. Jeff, Matt, they already know that that's my answer every time. So again, singing Peppa was one that I've done. I worked with some inventors in Chicago that really helped bring that mouth. You can't see it now, but if you look it on Amazon, that mouth looks like it's alive. It's something I've never seen before, and that's why it's sold in as a product for that great property. Nanimals, everyone, I think mostly everyone has heard of Tamagotchi. This was the new licensed product that I was able to help coordinate and design with our fashion team, and it's really small. It captures the trend of the Tamagotchi, but brought it into today's consumer. And then hydropods. This was a new battling system, kind of like a Muscle Man or Aikido, but essentially this featured a little head that was in the water that when you knock the top off, it uses that classic play of using a straw to hold water and pour it on something. When you knock that top off, the head disappears because it falls down, and you get to do it over and over again. A brand new brand for us. Unfortunately, we discontinued it after 2 years, but amazing example of how we look at new inventions and create new brands around it. Mega Mech Darth Vader. My first thing with Star Wars. So honored that Disney, like I was saying before, they're so strict about adhering to their content. This is the first time they let us go outside of that, and we created a mech suit for Darth Vader to go in. It had a sword lightsaber that ejected out, came up, and did a chopping action. That mechanism, even though it sounds simple, really, really complex and hard to do. But with the work with my team, we're able to bring this to reality. Also did an invention for Transformers. These are collectible 2 little halves that are really inexpensive, so they were collectible, but we're allowed to mix and match all the different characters in creative ways. And then lastly, I'm sure you guys have seen this character, pretty much everywhere on Earth, maybe somewhere else in the galaxy if you've traveled somewhere. But uh, snacking Grogu, another invention that I was able to work with my team on. It's a really simple mechanism where you press his stomach, you stick one of these little pies in, and his plastic rubber face actually moves and looks like he's chewing, and then it ends up in his backpack for you to use later. So some examples of the inventions I was able to do during my tenure here at Hasbro on the Action brands. Now, quick break. I'd love to ask you guys, what does industrial design mean to you? What is it? Can anyone guess?
It's more like functional things like backpacks and shoes, and typically that's what I've seen, or things oh God, I'm blanking. I mean, it can be really anything from my perspective, like chairs, furniture. We have at one of our local colleges, we have an industrial design lab. So we've toured that a couple of times, and they work on things like backpack sewing projects, anything from woodworking or acrylic, things like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd just note that like our conversations with you have been a good wheel spinner for it too. Like I would say that like usually my mind would go straight to like architecture, like Brittany said, like chairs, interior, stuff like that. And thinking about it in toys has been like a dope break from that too. But just to point out that like my natural inclination would have been architecture, chairs, tables, stuff like that, shoes.
Got it. Anyone else?
Cassandra said concept designs in the chat.
Oh, sorry. I'm not. Fortunately, I'm not looking at the chat much. But
We'll call
maybe
out
we
the
could
chat.
address those later. So industrial design is all of that. And Brittany, I'm going to quote you. You said anything. Yes, that's the magic of industrial design. We can design anything. It's more of a process that's essentially creative problem solving for things and this is where the industrial part that is produced in mass. So when we design something, usually it's not a one-off. I mean, although we can, because that's considered fine art, whereas industrial design is more towards consumer facing. And so, yes, it could be a building, it could be chairs, it could be toys, it could be your cell phone. Whatever is made in a factory is essentially what we design for, meaning we consider all these machines that build, form, and things for the masses, and that's essentially what industrial design is. The reason why I bring that up is because at the Academy of Art, University of San Francisco, where I did my second degree, I didn't even mention my first one because I was in my first degree was in computer information systems, and I did 10 years in that, but I was depressed. I was really sad. I didn't want to go to work, but when I found industrial design, as an experiment, I took one class at night, and after that class, I was in love. And after taking that class, I retired from IT, decided to go into this full time, and as the name of this whole thing is entitled, I never worked a day in my life since, because I've been playing with toys, drawing, making things, and it started with the Academy of Art, where again I'm now a faculty member for the last 11 years. As you can see here, I teach university students, not only undergraduate but also master's students. We have a very huge international contingent of students, which is great because I'm exposed to not only the new talent, but also talent from around the world. So it keeps me fresh, as well as it allows me to pay it forward to all the future innovators around the world. Here's a drawing that I did for a puzzle. Here's one that I think is on the verge to possibly becoming something, which is a self-balancing, high-speed motorcycle drone. All these technologies are together. I knew about these about 15 years ago, so I put it together. And the impetus to this, as you can see, it's actually drawn digitally. So just to share the difference between the two. But the impetus to this was to catch drunk drivers and make sure that Amber Alerts don't ever need to be needed anymore. So it would be able to ride through the freeways, cut through traffic, scan cars, and if any kid was ever abducted again, they'll find them quickly because this will be a swarm of them traveling up and down the freeways. So that's what that one is, and it can actually become reality now, which I'm hoping someone does it. One of my favorites, a collaboration, an imaginative collaboration between Jordan and Tony Stark's Industries, where basically I allowed you to fly like Michael Jordan. Inside was a carbon fiber shoe, and on the outside were mechanical repulsing technology that basically lifted you up just like Iron Man. So another drawing allows you just to imagine and have fun. Stormtrooper, that I proposed different parts versus the way they did it now. Still trying to pitch this to Hasbro, but they're trying to find different ways, essentially. Model making, a toy that I designed and built by hand. And then Rolo, I think you said 3D modeling. As you can see, 3D modeling gets very, very, very intricate, but I'm well versed in doing that, as you can see there. And that was the model for that truck that I showed you earlier. Brings me to Monte Gardens Elementary. So college, university, master's, undergrad. The most challenging position that I have right now is 1 day a week on Friday afternoons, I teach 4th and 5th grade the industrial design process. Again, that's thinking, learning how to draw very, very simple shapes, and building very, really simple models out of cardboard, duct tape, hot glue, pipe cleaners. And as you can see, it's magic. Look at those faces. They're smiling. If there's one thing that I love sharing, not only with you, but everyone who I talk to about this course, they don't even want to go to recess. They don't want to go to lunch. They ask to stay in the class. Like, you got to go to lunch. I'm not going to, I think it's a law they have to eat lunch or something like that. But I'm like, if you want to come back, they'll scarf down their lunch, run back to my class, and continue to work on their projects. Because one insight that I've learned is after you give them the tools to learn, like drawing and making, which they enjoy in itself, but when you set them free to build whatever they're thinking, that's it. They'll go for hours and won't stop. And this is what I would love to share with you guys as leaders of young creators. The one on the left is my model. I did it in class. I created one of these things, but all you see is just simple cardboard, tape, and popsicle sticks. Oh, and there's a pipe cleaner in the next so that the head bounces when it walks. But up to the right, these are models that the kids made. And keep in mind, these are 4th and 5th graders. Okay, and they only get 45-minute sessions to work with me. These are the winners of last year for 5th grade. What I did with them, I asked them to vote, and those yellow sticky notes or those Post-its are the votes that they got from their classmates. I cleared the classroom, allowed them all 2 votes, and to stick it on the model that they liked the most. And these are the 3 winners. What I want to point out is the bottom left one. It was not mandatory, but 6 students came together and worked on a model. That thing is quite big, as you can see. They made that themselves, and the way they were rushing around and talking to each other, and it was just amazing. So yes, those are some of the winning concepts from this year. And again, simple things like hot glue, toilet paper rolls, cardboard, and duct tape. So when I was creating this this presentation, I was imagining that this might actually be I'd be talking to some of the younger creators also. So I had a question just to show them, to learn what industrial design was, but this applies to you guys also. After our definition of industrial design, what are some products that you see around you? You can actually, I can click in the chat. If you want to just shoot a product. Oh, wait, where is the chat? Oh, there it is. There it is. Akari lamp. Yes. I'm going to put in water. That's on my desk. Gucci. Polaroid. Yes. 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 Soccer ball. Yes. Yes, exactly. Great examples. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, like I said earlier, industrial design is essentially creative problem solving that manifests into products and problems. And sorry, products are byproducts of us solving problems. And the problem is the thing that you want to solve that takes you onto this journey of which you create and design. Now, for things like this, and as like I was saying, the Mac playset, here's the drawing that I did, and several others that were concepts for Disney. But for this was, how do you create fun for children, right? Using the car IP. This one, as an independent inventor, one thing I didn't share also is that I own and founded a design and innovation firm. It's all online, and I help aspiring entrepreneurs essentially create and realize their creative vision. I noticed that in the industry, there are, how would I describe this? It's a homogeneous demographic that controls creativity. And so my mission, and I call my company Rogue Innovation and Design, because I wanted to buck the trend, if you will. And it helps people invent things. And so one of the things I invented is called Awesome Mask. During COVID, I realized the problem, like I said, we solve problems, that when you have a mask, you can't really tell what people are saying because you can't hear them. And so I invented and patented a very simple system to where you can wear a very lightweight, almost disposable electronic that allows you to amplify your voice that's on the inside to the outside. So and I don't know if you remember, during COVID, you used to do this. You go really close so you can hear them, and then now you're in that range where you're exposing yourself to a disease. So, but the problem I solved here was how to communicate over distance with a mask on. This one I'm really proud of. But not only is it an example of what you can do with very rough models, as you can see here, this is a homeless mobile home solution that, as you can see in the top right corner, I went to the San Francisco Mission District and interviewed many homeless people. And from the insights that I got from them, I was able to design, by drawing, as you can see there, a solution that transformed from something that was a little larger than a shopping cart, which many of them use already, into something that can house 2 people and from the inside a companion, which is usually a dog. It featured a toilet, wheels that allow you to connect to a bicycle or push along yourself. Because as you can see in those bottom right images, this really works. And it's at scale because that doll that you see there is a human doll in proportion, and everything works on it. Cooking, clean, sanitization, going to the bathroom, as well as what they said, and this is a really interesting one, being able to secure yourself, but windows that allow you to see what's around you, because feeling trapped was one of their biggest concerns. So again, problem solving through models, drawing, and invention. You guys saw this. What I want to show you here was iteration on the right side. One of my favorite quotes is, to have a great idea, you must have many. And so, as you can see here, this is an example of how many times I drew different iterations. As you can see, it started with like a hand in the bottom right corner. And then you saw different aesthetics on the left. And as you see at the top, that was drawings I did on the plane to New York before I presented this. So your creative minds don't stop, and you have to a way to record them and show them, and that's what that is right there. Some more things that I did, that the Jordan Starks Industry jet shoe, that's it right there. As you can see, Rolo, I was the first in my class, and this was back in 2012, to actually do an organic shoe in 3D modeling. So I'm kind of I pat myself being a trailblazer on that one. Softball, which I play a lot. This one right here, I wanted to share with you really quickly is I was supposed to be on Shark Tank for that top one right there. Basically, it turned from a life jacket, which was basically only one use, right? But I turned it into a chair. All you have to do is just open it up and flip it inside out. Now you have a suspensor chair. As you can see, it works in those middle pictures. And who knew that something so simple? But the one thing I wanted to share as insight is play is the way. The only way I came out with that is what we actually had life jackets, and we were playing like, hey, what about this? And I was like, oh, Eureka, what about this? And that's how it came to be. So I just wanted to share that one with you. And then down at the bottom, just all the toys and models I made out of very simple foam core boards in one semester. 15 weeks, I did almost a dozen models because I was just having so much fun that allowed me to make that much work, including sketches. Now, let's get to the real stuff. The reality is, yes, industrial design, drawing, all that stuff is great, but the larger picture, and this is illustrated by my pivot from IT to design, the thing of money as motivation. Yeah, we need to make money to live, right? But how do you make that money? How do you earn that money is really the question. And please excuse it. It's not motivation. It's motivation. Please excuse that typo there. But when I went to IT, I was a 16-year-old high school graduate asking my parents, what should I do now? And they said, you're either going to be a doctor or a lawyer or this new technology called computers. And in hindsight, I see why new technology excited me. So I went into computer information systems. But after 10 years, I was always calling in sick, didn't want to go to work. I thought I was lazy. And actually, I was relatively depressed. But once I found that I could draw and be creative as a profession, I never looked back. And again, never worked another day in my life after that. And as you can see, my passion as an inspiration allowed me to catapult in my industry. Even though I was kind of the older guy, I caught up and passed people that were that were older than me, because passion served as an inspiration. This image here, all of these people are CEOs of their respective companies. They had me as one of the only design managers up on stage talking to hundreds of college kids about just that, using your passion as inspiration. Now, why work for passion and inspiration versus working for money and material things? That is a question for you guys. Why would we want to work for passion and inspiration versus working for money or material things?
More fulfilling.
Indeed. Anyone else?
It's more fun.
Misha? Is it Misha?
Yeah.
Misha, that's it right there. Actually, you and Brittany both together. Being fulfilled, having fun. I mean, how much, if you and getting paid, I mean, that is the magic formula. If you can get all that together, and I teach that to my students all the time, I teach it to my daughters. Excuse the term, but if you're working without having fun, you're essentially a slave. And you don't want to be doing something that someone else wants. You want to do something that you want to do. And so and when my students come in, I always say, hey, if you're not having fun in here, get out. Because fun and passion is what's going to allow you to excel and do way more than the next person. This was supposed to be for those kids, and since you guys are already working, please excuse this slide. But when I do speak to, or when you do show this to the young innovators, please ask them this, because I'd be really, really curious to see what their careers are, especially if they're watching this. Now, as I said earlier, doing what you love empowers you to go above and beyond. In today's world, especially with AI, positions are becoming rarer and rarer. The competition is even much more stiff to become a designer or creative. But if you work with passion, you work those long hours because you're having fun, it allows you to produce work that others can't touch. Again, that's what I did in a semester. I know, I'm not sure if it looks like a lot to you, but if on the right side, those are stacks of 30 sketches. And these are all models that I produced weekly. And so what I wanted to share with you, and the reason why I share this image, is because when not only is it industrial design making products, but once I got into toy as a perpetual kid, I couldn't stop. And this is a reflection of that mantra of doing what you love, because it will allow you to succeed and go way above and beyond. I had to throw this in there because my buddy Jeff said this is quite a flex that I didn't use when we first talked. But it also puts you in places to where, as you saw, I was next to all the CEOs in the New York Toy Fair at a panel. I got to meet Kanye, and he brought me down to his home. He brought me to his private ranch in Wyoming to talk about inventions. This would not have been possible had I not worked with passion, pursued the thing I wanted to do, as well as meet my mentor, which by the way, we all are, right? We're mentors for all these young innovators. John Marsh on the right, who has since passed, he taught me to accept my playfulness and my passion for play and turn it into something. I wanted to become a consultant, which he was. He said, Mark, that's not you. Do this. And look where I am now. John, wherever you are, I know he's looking down on me. And that man to his right, his colleague, Sid Mead, if you look him up, this man is a rock star. He designed all the art for Tron, for what is it called? Blade Runner. This was at his show in Hollywood, in the Hollywood Hills, and my mentor brought me to see him. And at his funeral, Sid, because he passed away also, this man spoke. He spoke for this man, and he spoke for this man, and all of them are part of the circle that I was able to connect with because I worked. No, sorry, I'll take that back. I played with passion. And it's brought me to success. I'm recognized by and this is actually 3 years in running, as the top 100 most influential people in the industry. And it's really weird. I don't like talking about myself. I know you're like, Mark, you're talking about yourself for 30 minutes already, but because you guys put me up to this, just so you know. But that said, I just want to share that if you play with passion and go after what you dream about, and play, have fun with what you do, hopefully you can enjoy success as I have. And I'll stick to that. Now, the nuggets that I promised. Tips for loving what you do for a living. Now, this is kind of biased towards a creative, but can be nuggets for anyone that is enjoying what they do. Get to know as quickly as you can so that you can figure out a yes. Matt, I know we talked about this in one of our previous conversations, whether it's pitching an idea, whether it's figuring out what you want to do for your career, figure out where it doesn't fit and then figure out where it does. And that way, the sooner that you get to know, then you'll get to guess. Objections, obstacles, find those so that way you can overcome them and accomplish what it is that you want. Okay? Make a plan to achieve your goal and stick to it. This is something that I find is really a challenge for especially college students, because time management is a big thing. I know it's very ubiquitous, but being able to, because they say we have 4,000 weeks in a lifetime. 4,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but if you can really figure out what you want to do with each of those weeks, and of course weekends, you'll be able to be much more effective and achieve your goals. I am a consummate calendar person. Everything has a slot in it. And some people are like, what are you doing? I only do that because I want to earn my weekend time, which is family, wife, friends, etc. But what allows me to get that time is getting all my work done and my goals achieved within the time that I do have. Keep it simple. This is a big one, especially for creatives. There's so much you want to do. And not only is it an analogy for what you do in life, but also design. So my favorite quote here is, "Simplicity is the finest sophistication," by Leonardo da Vinci. When it comes to design, if you can get it to the most simplest solution, and the analogy that I usually give is through biomimicry, which is copying nature. If you can keep things simple, that is usually the most efficient and best solution. Do not fall in love with just one idea. Please fall in love. But do not fall in love, because as creators, as I said earlier, to have a great idea, you have to have many. As an innovator, don't fall in love with just one idea, because it's all about timing. So many different components as to why something can become something at that particular time. Don't get your feelings hurt, because as a creator, it is up to you to come up with ideas over and over again until one sticks. Of course, do what you love. This is probably the most important one in all facets of your life. But for work, do what you love, because the only way to never work a day in your life is to play every day of your life. And that does it. I know that was a lot of talking. Please excuse that. Hopefully you found some nuggets of wisdom or inspiration. And now, questions.
And I'll shout out before we begin. We're at the top of the hour. If anybody has to jump and you want to ask a question, Feel free to pop it out first. I think Jeff has to jump, but I'm okay. I don't have a meeting backed up, so I'm happy to. If you're good, Mark, I'm happy to keep it open as long as folks want to stay.
Yeah,
Any questions?
I only have, let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, I have about 15 minutes left. So if anyone wants to stick there, great. If not, sorry I went over. But hopefully you found some inspiration for those that had to leave.
Man, that was locked in. I didn't even notice the time until right now. You got a couple questions in the chat
Oh,
over here.
I'm gonna just stop sharing.
So,
Okay.
are you in the chat, Mark? You want me to read them out?
Yeah, I see it now. Let's see. Do you think they would ever re-release the 90s or all I can say is stay tuned.
She likes it. She likes that
Stay
answer.
tuned. Because Furby is a huge brand for us. And right now, without to go into too much detail, every product line has a up curve and then a down curve. We're at the up curve and we're starting to go down and relax it. But to your question, stay tuned. You'll be really happy to know something's going to be coming very shortly.
Made
Is
my
there any?
excited.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
She's very excited.
She's at
Or-
the
I love that.
possibility.
I have one question before I have to jump. I have to jump to another meeting. And I know we have some questions in the chat. Uh, what would you think, what would you say are some of your inspiration tips? Like when it comes to like things like, do you budget the amount of time that you're on a phone? Do you watch less TV? Do you watch more TV to get inspiration? Like what are some things that have you locked in with allow yourself to be kind of locked in and be inspired?
So in my emails, I don't know if you've noticed in my signature it says perpetually inspired. That is essentially what I would advise for inspiration too. I forgot who called it, but to have a child's mind. Children are just curious because they're taking in things for the first time, right? My advice to anyone is to try and put on lenses like you're a 5-year-old child that hasn't seen things ever. I mean, you can look at a speaker here on my desk and look at it for the first time, like, oh my gosh, there's something I never thought about. So to your point, Jeff, whether it's TV, whether it's walking around, whether it's looking at people walking by, there's always something that you can learn. And that curiosity will allow you to open your mind up to know that A, you don't know much. No offense to anybody, but more importantly, there's so much to learn and to be inspired by.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hopefully that answered it, or hopefully that wasn't too cryptic. Let's see here. Noemi, is there any skills you took away from IT? Yes, 100%. There was a Microsoft program called Microsoft Project, which allowed me to budget and schedule accordingly in one big, large visual chart. Huge. Talking professionally to people. Back then, we didn't have video conference. It was all through the phone. But to know how to problem solve, talk to people, create rapport, huge. And then of course, scheduling, time management. I almost believe that if I wasn't in IT, I would never have learned to use what are basically supercomputers in our pocket, as well as on our laps, to remind me and keep me honest to the things that I need to get done. Those things, those tools, indispensable. Let's see here. I have students struggling who went into college with one major but are scared to make that jump into their creative passion. What advice would you give in managing that fear? Let them know that even a seasoned professional has the same fears. It's okay to feel that way, but you just got to go for it. Hopefully you have the support around you. Hopefully you have people that can talk to you and support you through it. But if it's the major that they're going into that they're scared about, yeah, I mean, if you're not scared, there's something wrong because it's unknown. We're all kind of have fear of what's coming in front of us that we haven't seen. But my advice, know that it's perfectly natural because even veterans like me get nervous all the time. I was nervous before this call, um, which happens all the time, as well as make sure that they love what they're doing. I know I said it before. If they love what they're doing, it shows. It really, really shows. And potential collaborators, employers, etc., they'll know. And with people that are competing, especially when I'm hiring somebody, like, you know what? I like the energy of that one. That's the one I'm going to go with. They might even be a little underskilled compared to this one, but can I work with them? Are they passionate? Are they going to go for it? Yeah, that's who I'm going to pick.
I have a question.
Yes.
Great talk. It was very informative. A question I have is, how does a client give notes to a toy design when it has to be consistent across an entire brand of various media projects, like the mech Darth Vader? How do notes come back from something like that where it's like, what is Star Wars and what isn't Star Wars, basically? I'm very curious about how they can keep it consistent between toys, games, film, TV, video games, everything else. I'm curious about how that kind of conversation happens.
Oh, well, that's not just one conversation. That's like hundreds of conversations. Um, but there's something known as style guides that Disney will provide, or your client will provide, like, look, this is what it needs to be. You cannot go, or you can have artistic liberties. And that's part of the collaboration, right? If we, like with the Mega Mech one, they've never had anything like that. So we had to go back and forth and say, hey, how about this? Can we accentuate this to accommodate the mechanism? I'm like, okay, sure, but don't go past this, etc., etc. But as far as a brand, they have brand managers. They have so many different stakeholders along the way, not only on the client side, but also internally. The development leaders that I talk with, they know the brand inside out. They've been on each of them usually average 15 to 20 years on the brand. And so they know it like the back of their hand, but yet they still have to have those conversations with the gatekeepers at Disney. So documentation, conversation, and priority are really the things that determine what is done and what can be done for a brand.
Rolo, were you trying to lean in there, Rolo?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what Transformer stuff are you working on, and what 3D software do you be using?
So right now we're working on Transformers as a whole brand, not necessarily just a single toy. And what we're looking for, and I'm okay with saying this because I want to share it with all the Clubhouse Network future creators, is platforms. And what I mean by that is, how can we create something that applies to not only Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, but how does it also apply to Iron Man on Marvel, and how does it also apply to Cobra Commander and G.I. Joe? So to all that said, how do we design to have a platform that has application across the whole portfolio? So to answer your question, we're not working on anything specific. We're working on all of it all at the same time as a holistic approach. Now, 3D modeling, I have to admit, I don't get to model as much as I'd like to anymore. I'm more of the vision person and coordinator, if you will, and negotiator. But actually, I'm sorry, let me take that back. I do use an AI-driven platform called Viscom. And if you look into it, all I have to do is draw. Remember that drawing I did earlier of the beaker? Yeah. I could literally put that simple line drawing in, and say and do a couple call outs, say this is the top, this is the stirrer, blah blah blah. Tell Viscom to create an image. If I like that image, say create a 3D model, it'll create a 3D model, and then all I have to do is export it and give it to somebody, and they start working on it. So because of the technology and AI power, things have changed, and 3D modeling has followed suit.
Is there going to be any more Transformers Prime stuff? That was the best Transformers cartoon ever.
As I said to Brittany's
Stay tuned.
colleague, stay tuned.
Hell yeah.
Stay tuned.
That was the sickest Transformers ever, man. Transformers Prime. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's all 3D. It's awesome.
Yes, indeed.
So when are you gonna come to Atlanta? Are you coming to our conference?
Well, so we're working that out. I know we're working on doing some things in San Jose first. So hopefully we can get that to go, but also we're talking long term as far as that event. But we'll see. Can't make any promises at the moment because I do have a pretty busy travel schedule personally as well as for business for the rest of the year. But I'd love to experience that for sure, but not sure if that's in the card this year. We shall see soon.
But if you're like, hey, this call's about to end, man, you get that same feeling like we've been having where like, man, Mark, with the passion and and like the creativity and the fun, like there's a particular magnetism to a Mark Garcia, and everybody's feeling like they're like that sad feeling, like a great book is
go
about
drink
to
a beer
end, or
with
like
Mark.
you're never gonna feel your Frodo again. I'll pull a Mark on you all and say, stay tuned. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So how can we get in touch with you if we wanted to like talk more?
Well, Matt and Jeff have my contact information. Spencer reached out to me during LinkedIn, so I think Spencer, we're probably gonna try and figure out some time to connect. So happy to connect with fellow innovation leaders as yourselves. Just reach out. I love paying this forward.
Yeah. Well, this is Shockwave.
Oh,
3D
sweet.
printed. And he's articulated, so he
Oh
moves.
man. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have
man.
an Optimus and Megatron too, but I packed them away because I gotta move out of my room. But I want to make a life-size Optimus.
Well, I'll tell you something I am working on. Two things. I probably should have put this one because part of my education as of just 2 years ago was Stanford's graduate business school, and there was a couple of things that I worked on. One is based in diversity, and so what I'm trying to do is the innovator network, and that's kind of why I reached out to the Clubhouse network, is because the people that are in it now is a fairly homogenous demographic, and what I'm hoping is to find everyone around this world to give them the opportunities to innovate from every walk of life, which is one. So that's diversity. The other, to your point, Orlando, you said you wanted to make a life-size Megatron or Optimus?
Optimus Prime, and then what's his face? Soundwave is like my favorite. So Optimus will be. Those are my favorite. And Starscream too. You can't forget Starscream.
Of course. Now imagine if I told you that one day you could have one, but it actually walked, talked, and played with you.
Oh,
at Stanford,
like the
I've been working on
RoboStun
that.
ones, like that Optimus joint. I want
No,
that so bad.
I'm not talking this big. I'm talking one as
like
tall as
real.
you.
Oh, that would be awesome, dude.
Right. Well, that's the other thing I'm working on, and I know it's weird, but this is where I work. But robots are coming.
Like a Tesla robot, but Optimus Prime.
Exactly.
That would be awesome.
and Brittany, I know you showed some emotion when I said My Little Pony or one of your colleagues. There's also four-legged robots. So now we're having pets like Ravage or My Little Pony, etc. So just to give you some idea of where play can go.
Hey, okay. Mark, I know you got it's quarter after. I know we got you, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say I gotta jump, but anything else that you guys would like to ask as we close?
It
Maybe,
was just cool to meet you, bro.
Likewise.
and if you maybe just to put a nice little end on it, I was gonna say for the your inspiration as your life is already like such a super dope pathway, but also like from the gate that you keep too, and for the members in the clubhouses that may be the inventors that would be coming to you. Any nugget on the way out for these folks to pass on to the kids that might be like coming up with the next thing and how to start that path?
Oh yes. Innovation can come from anywhere and anyone. I am 100% convinced as a veteran of this space that you can be a 13-year-old from San Leandro to a 45-year-old from wherever. and it can, and that lightning bolt can strike anywhere. So know that you can, is all I can say. Just go for it. If you love it, you're gonna find a way. We're all natural born problem solvers. It just comes down to exposure. But know as an experienced innovator that this can come from a seasoned veteran all the way down to a complete beginner.
Thanks, Mark.
Welcome.
Thanks, brother. Man, appreciate it so much.
Thanks for the time, everyone.
Thank y'all.
Talk soon.